It's the podcast time. This is episode 8, and we're coming back with Eat Your Meats, Highland Pickles, and Snazzy Bastard. We got shorter intros this morning, or this afternoon, I guess. I don't even know what time it is.
Morning. Holy
Somebody
crap.
just woke up. It wasn't me, actually. So episode 8 of the podcast. We are going to be talking about, we're going to spend a lot more time talking about some stuff I'm excited about, because this is going to have a little bit of contention, I think. We're not all going to agree on everything. So that was kind of the point of the topic, right? Isn't that what you wanted, Snazzy?
Well, okay.
I'm calling you out. You wanted
It's all just snazzy.
Yeah. Today's topic is dealing with chat. So if you guys are interested in hearing from us about our experiences individually with dealing with chat, stick around. If you guys are on YouTube, you guys can like and subscribe, leave a comment. I try to respond to all the comments on YouTube. And you guys can find the podcast on infinitequality.live and pretty much every podcasting platform. So if you want to know more about our community or any of us individually, just go to infinitequality.live. I think we are good to go. So the topic for today, dealing with chat. The first thing I wanted to bring up, which is pretty much like a very simple, kind of a simple topic. We want to talk about calling out lurkers. This is not. I don't think any of us are going to disagree on this, right? Like,
No, bad.
No. Don't do it. Do whatever you have to not have to do it.
don't do it.
Hold on. Let me couch that statement. Let me roll that back slightly and couch it. If you are calling them out, don't call them out like to single them out. Call them out to thank them. Be like, hey, this is for all the lurkers out there. Love you guys, something like that. But don't try to bring them out of the lurk. I feel like that's like the important thing. Leave them in the lurk. Let them stew as needed.
Let them hide in the shadows. That's where they want to be. If they want to talk, they'll talk.
That's where I like to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to call me out half the time, I may not even be able to respond because I'm in a Discord call or downstairs. Who knows? So,
or I'm in a game that requires me to alt tab out or something.
Right.
Who knows, whatever the lurker's doing at the time. I would definitely say though, don't assume that just because somebody is lurking that they are actually paying attention.
The big issue is when you go into the chat list and you see somebody is in there, and you're like, oh, so and so is here. I'm so glad you're here, and they haven't said anything in chat. They've just been lurking.
That is
Who has time to do that?
That is weaponized
people.
cringe.
Yeah, well, people who are not used to this whole streaming thing, they make this mistake. Yeah. It happens often.
I don't know about you guys, but at least for my OBS, I can never trust the list.
That's
because
fair.
I'll open the list because I know, for example, like my wife will be in there, right, and she's a mod, and she'll open the stream up and I'll look on the list, and there are times when she's not on the list at all, but I know for a fact she's watching.
Yeah.
Or somebody, even else, not even just her, somebody will chat, actively post things in chat, but they won't show up in the viewer list. So, I've just learned not to ever trust the viewer list.
Yeah,
I never look at
viewer
it
list.
no, I don't want it.
Viewer list and view count are liars. They don't tell you the truth, and because it doesn't update right away, people could come in and hang out for a minute and never show up in either.
Which is why, some people that we know who do that when they're about to say something, and they'll go look at the list, and I'm like, oh, you're being brave. Couldn't be me.
Also, never call out how many people are watching. I've been in streams where they're like, we got 25 people in here. Somebody want to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's uncomfortable. I don't like this.
Yeah, you should be putting the same show on if you have 10 people or if you have 1,000. It's the numbers, unless it's 69 viewers. Really. I'm sorry, I know we're not supposed to read chat. It took me off guard there.
Not just even when you're calling out the view number. Some people I've watched were saying, "Oh shit!" Somebody's rating us with 30 people, and I'm like, "Don't say that."
Yeah, I don't like to say that because some people will raid with one, and I don't want to make them feel bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all equally appreciated,
cringe.
Yeah, I don't want to be like
it's equally cringe and appreciated.
I would say one thing that's a bit more controversial is calling out new follows. So I think there is a bit more divisiveness about whether or not you should call out names of new follows. I know a lot of people have different approaches and different thoughts about that.
It's so common. I think it's fine. I just think, like, it's so common to have the follow, so-and-so follow the stream. Most of the people that they don't know you have an anonymous alert, and they'll just wait for you to go off.
They'll wait for you to go offline and follow offline.
Follow offline.
Absolutely.
That one just feels like personal preference, honestly.
Yeah,
it's personal preference, but I feel like the community, I guess, for lack of a better word, the broader viewer base on Twitch has kind of been conditioned that, oh yeah, if you follow or if you do something, there will be an alert. So if somebody's like shy enough and doesn't want that, yeah, they'll wait till you're like, offline or whatever, and then follow offline. So I don't think it's prevalent enough, like, having anonymous follows, that people can just assume that your alerts will be anonymous, right?
Yeah. The calling out the lurkers thing, the one thing I wanted to kind of say here was that this goes back to something else I've talked about before, which is addressing the void when you're live. Like, you don't ever really want to address the void. The void is just a total cringy, awkward feeling place for everyone. For the viewer, for you. You're not talking to anybody. I've had to give streamers advice where they'd have like this thing where if somebody followed or hosted or raided with like 1 or 2 viewers, they would do like this whole event on their stream, and like it's a host or a raid with like less than 5 people. The chances those 5 people are even going to follow and stick around is very low in the first place. And you've put all this work into this like scene. You switch your scene to like this new scene, and you're like, you do this whole like skit and stuff, and you think it's fun, and you're not really talking to the viewers that have been there, and you're not really talking to anybody that you know is for a fact watching. You're just kind of hoping you're reaching people that might be there, and that's the void. There's no one actually there. What you want to do is address the people who speak in chat directly. So like this is a good one for dealing with chat. Don't talk to people who are not engaging with you already. If somebody follows, it's a good time to engage that follow. If somebody hosts, you can engage with the streamer and that person. If somebody says something in chat, engage with that person. And talk. You can talk generally to the people that are there. There's a difference between the people that are there and the people that might be there. And so always address people that are there, not the people that might be there. And people are there that are showing up randomly. You know that there's a group of people that they seem like they're the void because they haven't said anything. You've never talked to them before. They've never been in your stream before. They're a brand new person. You think you're addressing them, but you're not. And don't address that. Address the real stream, what's actually happening. Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Still never expect a response.
That's also true.
Yep, absolutely.
The fishing for a response thing
I think
going fishing in the void.
The only caveat, stare not long into the abyss. Like the only caveat to that, I think, like for some people, and the reason I see some people do that, and the reason it doesn't necessarily strike me is because I think they're attempting at that point to just basically play off every host and every raid the same way.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have this long, extravagant thing, no matter what the size of the raid is, because they just want to treat everybody equally or whatever. But then that kind of goes back to the point, like, hey, maybe you don't need overly long raid welcome skits.
Or just rotate through some, having some shorter or longer, and just kind of if you just did a big one, right? And that's the thing is, like, if someone gets it, there's it's kind of like almost like shift ending that happens. Have you ever noticed that? Like, if I go to a certain time on my stream, I start getting raids. Because a lot of people that I know are like finishing up or something.
100%.
So if you get a bunch in a row and it's basically 20 minutes of you doing the raid response, it's probably not really capturing people.
There are literal clips of, like, it's become a meme thing on my stream where I'll start talking about a less than flattering topic, perhaps an adult topic, and inevitably, because it's late enough at night, somebody will come in, and then I'll have to like explain to them why I was talking about this, and then during the explanation, somebody else will raid in, because like it's that time of night where there's a whole slew of people that are just wrapping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is dealing with chat is actually a more complicated subject. That's why we wanted to make an episode on it, because and there's not like hard and fast rules for a lot of things, and you can even probably not take any of this advice. You could disagree with us.
Oh yeah.
But I still think it's a good idea to consider the stuff that we're talking about generally, because I haven't really seen people get upset about not calling out lurkers, but I've definitely seen people get upset because they did call out a lurker. And then another big topic here for this is backseating.
So we have very different opinions on backseating.
Yeah, this is where the contention begins.
Should we start with the most neutral of the responses?
I want to start with Meats.
You want to start with me? Oh boy.
Yeah. Give us your take on backseating first.
So, backseating is difficult, and I think one thing that I just wish, if I could like wave a magic wand and make something work, is that people actually read tags. You know, like there's like literally a no backseating tag, and there's a backseating welcome tag, right? Like, I don't know if there's a no spoil. Yeah, I don't know if there's a no. Put both on and just see what happens. I don't know if there's a no spoilers tag off the top of my head.
There's no
It seems
spoilers.
like there's,
yeah. So my thoughts on it is, I always say no. Like, if you want to offer hints and tips or suggest something that I do, I'm totally fine with that. Don't be offended if I don't do it. No story spoilers, right? And that's kind of my rule that I follow, and I find it to be a benefit, because then it sparks some discussion, because sometimes people like to backseat. You know, they feel empowered by backseating, but they also realize that there's that understanding that if I tell you I'm not going to do that, that's okay. And sometimes it ends up with really hilarious things happening. Snazzy actually backseated me into a really unpleasant situation a couple weeks ago.
To be fair, I want to clarify, I wasn't the only one doing it, but
I blame you.
His voice, for sure.
You know, you finish like this terrible boss fight, and then they're like, "Oh, you should go over here and check this place out." And then they send me over there, and it's just like this terrible surprise boss fight that I would not have stumbled into right away, right? So there can be really entertaining aspects of it as well. On the flip side of things, I think sometimes when people are like really diligent with the no spoiler thing, it has to be a community like supported no spoiler situation, because sometimes people get a little bit too offended when someone starts to spoil a little bit, I feel like. You know, but I do think if
big time.
If the environment is created and it's very, very clear that spoilers are not welcome, that's okay. It gets tricky when you live in the gray zone like I do, but I'm happy here.
Well, the getting triggered on stream over anything's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Just don't let things trigger you, first of all. Backseating is one of those things where people get real upset when it happens over and over and over, and then like the fourth person that backseats you, you're just like, I'm so
ready to unload on that person.
that person said. And then sometimes you go through a stream and no one tells you what to do at all, you know, or even worse, you're
actually asking for help.
You don't need any help, and you're just like flying. There's like this weird thing where if you're too good at the game and no one's watching, people won't watch. It's like they want to watch you struggle. Like, I would.
So basically, the Dark Souls community in a nutshell.
Yeah, if you're playing Dark Souls, like it's like maybe just fumble your way through it, even if you're really good at those games. Because
Sonny, are you telling me to throw for content?
Yeah, throw. No. I mean, just be mindful that the community that the game you're watching is going to react differently to the kind of stream, the content that you're making.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Snazzy, you give us your take on the whole backseating thing. Give us your story.
Oh boy. Okay, so the one thing that I 100% do agree with Meats on is I wish I had a magic wand where, like, when people click on a stream, the first thing that would pop up is just maybe like a Star Wars scroll of the tags, just so like people can see what the tags are, because like that. My assumption is, right, and I know it's a false one. I like to cling to false hope. My assumption is that if you've clicked on the stream, you've read the tags. And that's inevitably never true. But like, because there'll be times when I'm playing a game, or not just me, like when anyone's playing a game, there'll be times when you're playing a game, and it's like it's your first time playing the game, or maybe even second time playing the game. You don't want spoilers. You don't want backseating. You want to find things out for yourself. And then if I'm doing a deathless attempt on Sekiro, it's pretty safe to assume you can backseat me at that point. Like, it's probably even beneficial that if you're telling me stuff that I need to know at that point, right? So like, there's a difference between average Joe playing Dark Souls for the first time versus like Kuma late at night. Sorry to call Kuma out, but I'm gonna call Lurker out. And then Kuma at night, like blasting his way through Dark Souls because he's bored. Like, right? There are times you can backseat, and then there's times you should not backseat.
Yeah,
and it's like,
well, the viewer like the problem is it's like the viewer doesn't know this. Like, so many people just don't know. They just think it's okay to backseat everybody, and so really the only thing we can do is advise the streamer on how to deal with that, because we can't go and tell all the viewers how to act, even though that would fix it. But
the root of backseating, for the most part, like there are some people who like do story spoilers at least just to kind of troll, but I think most backseating just comes from a place of the person really enjoys the game and they want other people to enjoy it the way that they enjoy it. And a lot of people also have trouble filtering their way through different kinds of social situations. So like they'll just, every chance they get, they'll blurt something out about what to do next or something, and other people will try to restrain themselves, but like the levels of that are different. And I think just assuming that it comes from a non-malicious place kind of makes it easier to deal with. But like I'm also kind of on Meat's side with like where the lines are to backseat and not backseat, you know, like it just depends. A lot of it depends, but you just have to understand that people are all coming from different spots as to why they're backseating and why they can't stop themselves.
Well, the good news is usually if somebody does come in and try to backseat you, it's probably because they like the game you're playing.
Yeah.
It's from a source of enthusiasm, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's like
just
go ahead, Snazzy.
I don't know. I would just say though, like I feel like I wish more people would walk into a stream on the assumption of like assume that it's not okay to backseat until you know for sure.
Well, yeah, like I said, if we could just like tell all the viewers how to act, then we could fix it.
Oh, if only there was Twitch etiquette that we could blast to everyone on Twitter.
Unfortunately,
chat rules just as useless as tags. People just click right through those. Don't read them ever.
Don't. Yeah. I know I don't. I'm guilty of that. It's like the first time I go to a chat with somebody,
I just
especially if
assume
it's like
don't be
somebody
a dick.
that I've especially if it's somebody that I like that I know through somebody else, right? So like, I just want to get to chatting. I'll just get that warning. I fine. Don't be Don't be an asshole. I got it. Cool. Yeah, click. I don't read those rules.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why the rules are, you know, it's a well-intentioned thing from the streamer, but you still, I would never expect people to read your chat rules. Like,
don't expect them to look in the panels below either. They won't.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will, but they also they won't click on anything. They'll just want to see. They go to the panels to kind of get an idea of how you're dressed, how your stream is dressed.
Yeah.
They're just maybe try to get a feel for what your channel is like a little bit from the panels. And if your panels are empty, then that tells them that's a very direct message. Like, I don't care. And then if your panels are like a novel, then they're like
too much.
Yeah, it's like I don't have time to read a book.
It's like making a PowerPoint, right? You got to get the balance of how many words.
That would actually be hilarious. Like, have a panel that links to a PowerPoint presentation.
This is my stream.
That's a really good idea for a raid alert. Just have a PowerPoint of like who you are.
I've legitimately seen a channel that's panel section is 2.5 screens long.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
was
less
bad.
is more. Less is more.
Was it on purpose, or like were they making a joke, or did they?
It was
just
not
have
a
too many
joke.
panels?
They just had a lot of panels and a lot of text, like their whole life story and
So much
all
dedication.
these games that they've played. Like it was a lot.
So from the advice perspective, what I would say is have a command. So have some sort of spoilers command. So if you know that helps chat to kind of self-police a little bit and be consistent. So if you have a certain rule that you follow it across the board.
This is
right?
this is actually good. I want to piggyback. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to
Okay.
piggyback on what you said because I think it would be a good idea. Like, how does the streamer deal with a spoiler? You could set up a command that people in your community can hit if somebody comes in and drops a spoiler.
Oh my God! Spoiler spam command.
Yeah,
Spoiler
and
spam.
it just like clears the chat. Like you could just have it. You could do a clear chat, have stream elements like literally clear the chat. That would be one way to go about it. That way you don't see it.
I would also say that if you're playing certain games, Undertale, if you're playing certain games, definitely like have somebody there who can mod for you, because like there are certain games, and Dark Souls is included in this, by the way. There are certain games that for sure, like you have to know that if you're gonna stream this game, you will get backseaters.
Mhm.
You will get
And
like
plenty
you
of
said,
spoilers.
yeah, and not necessarily malicious ones. You'll just get people who are so into that game that they literally cannot stop themselves from blurting stuff out. So
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen
Yeah.
this boss yet?
And
Yeah,
mods
exactly.
can just ban the person doing the spoiler, or do a timeout or something. But
Yeah, just like purge the message or
The-
whatever.
there's probably a good percentage of the spoilers that are trolls. So
yeah,
I mean, you're
Spoilers for sure.
you're pretty much in a place where banning them is not like the worst thing in the world to do. It's not like this is most likely a troll for the most part if they drop some kind of crazy spoiler. I've had people come in and drop spoilers for like shows and movies and stuff. Like
That's so
those,
weird.
the kind of
That's
troll
so
that's
weird.
like, yeah, it was. I think it was like, I don't remember which.
I feel like
show.
unless it's like somebody obviously being a doo-doo head, like maybe start with a warning, start with a timeout, and then if it persists, you escalate to the point where maybe you tell them like, hey, listen, I'm glad you're here, but I need you to stop.
Are you really though?
As the streamer,
As the streamer, I'm
it's
glad you're here.
important. As the streamer, it's important that if you're going to be very precious about the spoilers, that you have a mod who
Yep. knows
and you can trust to like cover that for you.
Yeah, be there. Yeah,
because
True.
Yeah,
And again,
but that's a responsibility. I think at least that part of it is a responsibility on like the streamer to, if they're going to
have
be
somebody there,
upset by those things, to take some measures to prevent it on your end, because otherwise, like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's an inevitability that chat's gonna do that kind of stuff, and if you don't want it, you gotta get ahead of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting ahead of it, and also like you have to do whatever you need to do for it to not derail your stream, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing you don't want happening is if somebody does spoil, whether maliciously or unmaliciously, the one thing you cannot do is blow up on that person, right?
Yeah.
Unless your stream is known for that, I guess. Unless that's like a thing that you do and everyone loves it. I don't know of anyone who loves getting yelled at, but maybe there's people who exist like that. Like you definitely then you don't want to blow up on people. You want to warn them in a stern but kind manner. And then if they keep doing it, then you can get a little bit more stern. But you still want to keep your composure, because while the catharsis of yelling at somebody who's being an obvious troll in chat is cathartic for you, I guarantee you that most of the other people in chat do not find catharsis in that. It's
No.
awkward to watch somebody yell at somebody else.
You guys kind of talked about it on the last like casual Friday stream about the difference between being like fun mad and bad mad. Right, you never want to cross the line into bad mad and
Bad mad.
lash out in a way that makes anybody uncomfortable. Like like with Dark Souls games, the struggle, the kind of like frustration, the joyous frustration, I guess, of it. I don't know. That's what people want to see. But if you're like so mad that like somebody says something and you tell them to like screw off into the night, like, and you're serious about it, like that's when it crosses that line that you don't want to cross.
Yeah, it totally kills the vibe because you feel like you just bring chat down. It's like your parents were yelling at each other, in a way. It kind of just goes like, did I do something wrong? I think a lot of people get that sort of sensation when that sort of anger starts to come out, right? They project it onto themselves a little bit.
It's so uncomfortable.
I would make that joke
it's
like,
so uncomfortable.
Daddy just yelled at mommy at the dinner table and you're sitting there eating spaghetti.
God, it hurts. It hurts.
And then also, it just makes you like it. Not only does it throw you off, it makes you uncomfortable afterwards because like sooner or later you're gonna realize that the vibe has been upset, right? The vibe is devibing, right?
Just thinking about it bothers me.
And like and we all know like when you're angry or when you're upset, right? The longer you try to hold something like that back, it's like crying, right? When you try not to cry, your body instinctively just wants to cry more. It's like the longer you try to restrain yourself, the more it's gonna like the harder it's gonna be to do that. So you have to some extent roll with the punches, and if you do have to stop and address something, you have to do it in a way that doesn't leave room for argument. You have to do it in a way where like this is definitive. I'm telling you, this is the rules. This is gonna happen. There's no animosity. Let's move on. But like, please stop or whatever. Whatever. Please stop.
And then also actually move on after you say that.
And yes, do not rant for half an hour about somebody who spoiled something for you.
Don't bring it up passive aggressively 20 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. 20 minutes goes by. Go ahead.
I like to think about it too. Like if someone clipped it and I looked at it the next day, would I be embarrassed by what happened? Right. So you guys have to think this is the internet. Like what you say and what you do can exist forever. Mm-hmm. And if you really go off and lose your cool in that sense, I mean, it happens sometimes, but it's really thoughtful about what and how you say things because people will take it out of context. They'll clip it. They'll, it can go places. So you have to be really careful.
Yep.
When you're in a, what's the word for it here? When you're in an environment where literally anybody can take a 10-second snippet of something you said without any context backwards or forwards, and all of a sudden you become known as the person who said that 10 seconds ago without having the setup, without having the resolution afterwards. It's like it's very easy to get in that place where you get to sound like the bad guy.
Yep. So dealing with trolls in general is kind of like I don't know.
I feel like dealing with trolls is like I have two opinions on the matter. One of them is just ignore them, which I feel is usually the good thing. Like let your mods, if you have mods, take care of it, or let chat in general if you have that kind of community
is the best rule. If you know you gonna have self-control issues with people in chat who are breaking rules or whatever, ignoring is a great way to go. It's like the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And because the moment you like open that can of worms, it's over. Like you know you're gonna go off because some troll showed up. Don't go off. Just don't start.
It's the Pandora's box of trolling, right? Once you've opened that box.
When I first came to Twitch, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about Twitch. I just knew streaming fun. I like streaming.
Streaming fun.
Yeah, I like streaming fun. I didn't watch Twitch streams, which was a huge mistake. So I had no idea about Twitch culture. I learned about Twitch culture just by streaming. So I had no idea what the meaning of kappa was when people would use it properly, at least. I didn't know people were being sarcastic. I didn't have any awareness at all. The Twitch meta or whatever it is. I wasn't so. In my mind, when I was streaming, any viewer, I needed every single person. So
Trap.
any person who showed up to my stream and said anything remotely trolly, I did everything in my power to convert them to like being a community member, being a part of my stream. I thought everyone's a good person deep inside.
I mean, that's true, but you can't fix them over the internet in 30 seconds, right?
I thought, I just wanted to give everyone a chance and like become friends with everybody and let them and try to get people to hang out normally and have a good time. It was not a good idea.
To piggyback off of that, sorry to interrupt, but like to piggyback off of that, one thing I definitely would say when dealing with chat, and if you're a new streamer, this is going to be difficult maybe to digest. Like Sunny said, when you're first starting out and you feel like you need every view or whatever, you need every chatter you can get. There are some people, there are certain folks that just do not fit into the community. They don't fit in chat. For one reason or another, they're just not there to have fun like everyone else is.
Yeah.
And it's 100% okay to boot those people out and go, no, I don't want to deal with you. I've seen enough so far. Like you don't owe anybody that second chance, right? If they come in and they're trolly and they're being obnoxious, you don't owe them the chance for them to repent, right? It's your stream. Do what you need to do to protect your peace, as it were, right? And I know, again, that's very difficult for somebody who's just starting out to hear, because again, you feel like, oh well, this is the first person that's chatted in half an hour. I better hold on to him.
Please stay.
Better hold on to him.
And when I was doing it, I was doing music. I would sing like improv songs. So I had my guitar out and I was like writing songs about people in chat. And so a troll would come in and I would turn the moment into like a song and try to make a joke out of whatever they're trolling about. And sometimes it was good and a lot of times it wasn't. A lot of these people would turn into like, oh man, the ones that get really drunk and say the most obnoxious stuff. I was co-streaming at the time, and it was, they'd come in and say things like, and these were people that would hang out and be normal. This is the worst kind of situation, is where you have a relationship with somebody who's showing up to your stream regularly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like super different. Like really argumentative or being super awkward, like telling you to kiss your partner on stream or something, and it's just like,
yeah, they had one too many that night.
No, they're just weird.
And it gets even more awkward when they're the same person who's tipped you like $100 recently, or like did like really supportive things for your stream, and now they're like a sore spot. So like, there's not just trolls you have to deal with. You also have to kind of deal with community members who suddenly become toxic. So that's
or
like,
who are otherwise okay, but that's the one night that they felt off for whatever reason. And
I was too nice, because I should have banned these people sooner. But then it became a habit. Like every Friday night, they're like super drunk and becoming a problem. And it's like, and then you do ban them, and then you feel terrible about it. And you shouldn't, but you do. It's a thing. If you're going to be streaming long enough, you're eventually going to have to ban somebody that you feel you're shocked you had to ban them. You're surprised that you had to go to do that, and you don't. It's uncomfortable and it sucks. So that's a thing I think nobody warns new streamers about. Is like, this isn't all just playing video games. Like, you're going to have a moment where you're going to have to deal with people in a way that you didn't expect and you didn't want to. And that's like the negative side, the dark side of streaming. Maybe we should make a whole episode on the dark side of
streaming. Oh my god!
You buy lights. That's
and this kind of is a good time to segue into the next like topic. Is like, this is like not a troll, but it's a problem where you have like these viewers that are very clingy. I don't know. Is that the right word for it?
Clingy, I think definitely is the right word for
attention seeking.
The way certain
people who feel entitled, like they give you money and then they feel like they can, like, they have more importance than other people in chat and stuff.
Yeah.
They're those people as well.
Yeah, I would put that, and then also like the people that are so focused on themselves that they it's like they don't recognize that a stream is happening. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I had someone who would always come in, and they would every single time would have a sob story, and it was a brand new thing. My dad's in jail. My dog died. My cat died. My friend got run over by a car. Like. It just kept going. Every stream. It was just like...
The trauma dumping, man.
I don't want to call you a liar, but how is your life this bad that every single day some new horrible thing has happened to you? And the stream would always become, like, the chat would always become super apologetic and, like, hope you're okay, and comforting, and, like, kind of coddle the person and try to make them feel better. And it was... Every time they came into the stream, it was something.
It's like, how are you actually living a series of unfortunate events?
Yeah,
they're energy vampires, right? Has anyone seen?
That's actually a really good description for it.
They are, yeah. They're energy vampires. They come in and they shift the focus, and that's okay if someone's like a common streamer or common community member, and sometimes they come in, they're having a bad day. That's fine. Or I have some community members, they may come in and just be like, I'm just happy to be here. Thanks that, things are tough sometimes, and just like a really brief sort of thing. That's okay. But yeah, learning how to set that limit can be really difficult.
That was a problem for me.
Go ahead.
That was a huge problem for me because this person was so regularly coming in and dumping the negativity. It made it so I didn't know how to deal with other people doing the same thing, even once, because it just reminded me of that person. And then I couldn't handle the moment. I never wanted to bring the stream to the I'm sorry for you and your sadness situation. And it's one of those things where you wish viewers would leave that stuff to maybe like a DM or a private conversation in a voice chat in Discord or something, and not do it in like this public space. It's like if you're outside busking, you're playing guitar on the street, and you have an open mic so people can sing with you, and then they come up and they're like, my mom just died on the mic while you're like trying to play some cover song, and it's just like,
oh,
okay, dude, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
okay,
I mean, clearly,
picturing
they
that
have some
scenario
sort of...
has killed a part of me that I don't think I will ever get. Like, just imagining that happening somewhere out on the street, like, makes me want to crawl in a hole and die.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. What were you saying,
go
Meats?
ahead.
I completely forgot what I was saying, and that's okay. That's what happens sometimes during four people streams. Yeah, no, I was gonna say if it's a frequent community member, and in general, you have a good relationship with them, that might be a good time to consider, a whisper or a DM for that individual. Just be like, listen, I want to be here for you, but we're trying to have a positive experience on the stream, and just have to be thoughtful about the energy that you're bringing or something like that. So being thoughtful about it can help with the situation, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this ties back into like sometimes like people just don't have the social skills to know not to dump that here, because what Twitch and YouTube have done have created really they've created platforms with really intimate like connections between the person on screen and the person watching it, and so. And like we all kind of like we just treat each other like friends, like the people in chat we're friendly with, like we listen to each other, we just hang out and talk, and then that for some people can just turn into you help me with all of my things now from now on.
yeah, you're my dumping ground.
And it's it's possible that they may not have anywhere else to, like you said, they may just not have the social skills to do that in a proper environment, right? They can't. They don't have anyone in their life they can confide in. So, hey, this streamer paid attention to me. Clearly, they want to know everything that's bothering me,
and they feel like connected to you because you're probably very happy that they're there hanging out on your stream, that they're supporting you, And so
absolutely, that's true. But what they sorry to interrupt, but like what they forget though, or rather what they don't see, more importantly, is that while the stream, even if the streamer is receptive, right? Even if the streamer wants to help you, then they'll DM you or they'll stop the stream to, to talk about your sadness, as it were, right? To make you feel better. The thing is, not everyone else in chat is there for that, right? Because like now you're bringing chat along on a ride they didn't ask to go on, right? Chat is now strapped into this emotional roller coaster, whether they like it or not. Right?
Mr. Snazzy's wild ride.
Yeah, basically. I will never forget. I won't name the names. I won't name where it happened, but this was a while ago. It happened on a stream of somebody we know. Somebody came in like talking about how like, oh, my night is going terribly, blah blah blah, and it escalated like, oh, my son was in an accident, and then like it escalated into, oh, I just got word that he died. And like, and the streamer,
stream?
And the streamer banned him, like not like out. Like they timed out. They said, "Listen, we love you, we care for you. You're somebody who's here often, but you need to close the stream, and you need to go be with your family. You need to go take care of yourself. Like you're not in the right headspace, and you're definitely not in the right place.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and
I
sometimes
hate
they
to
just need
laugh,
to be reminded.
Yeah, I hate to laugh about it, but sometimes it just feels ridiculous.
There's no filter.
In retrospect, it's funny because you're like, why would anybody ever say that?
There's no filter for whether or not it's true as well. At one time I had
that too.
Then I had this. Okay, so this is kind of goes with what your story, because I was streaming, I was hanging out for a while. Somebody who regularly came into my chat. I had a new account show up, and they were like, "Do you know so and so?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're here all the time. They're a major part of the stream community." And they're like, "They just passed away." And I wanted to tell you because I knew that they came here a lot and hung out with you, and I thought you should know. And for like a good amount of time, I don't remember how long it was. It felt like an hour, but it may have been like 20 minutes. This person was talking about what happened and letting us all know, and it made us all feel terrible. And then all of a sudden, that person showed up in chat, and they're like, "That's my brother. He's lying. He's just trolling you."
Oh my god,
and
that's terrible.
I would ban that person purely on moral grounds at that point.
Yeah, so it was like, the viewer, the person that supposedly died, didn't die, and they didn't know that this was happening. I guess the brother was just trolling, and then they came in, and the brother kind of like showed what was happening, and it was rough. And the worst part is that I've had other community members, people that actually I've met in real life, like at TwitchCon, people who stayed at my house during events, did die. And I didn't learn about it like through any normal means. It was like Facebook post or something at some point, and it was like, "What? What? Are you kidding me?" So like, and man, like this whole thing kind of goes a little bit beyond chat too, right? Like I've had people tell me, I've had streamers tell me in private messages things that I was shocked to learn, like they're dying of cancer or something. And they only have like 6 months to live, but they're still alive today. This was like 5 years ago, and I'm like, congratulations on beating cancer or whatever happened. Or did you lie to me about it? I've had viewers do that too, where you have this relationship and they're like, don't tell any. That's the other thing, is they always say don't tell anybody, and like I still don't know whether or not to believe whether these people have these things or not. And that's a very difficult place to be as a streamer, because you're trying to make relationships with viewers. Right.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think giving them the benefit of the doubt, but don't give it a lot of energy, right? And that's the thing. So what encourages that is the energy that's given to it. So if you're like, oh man, that sorry to hear that, that stinks. I hope that you have the support that you need outside of stream, and kind of move on. I think that's usually a smart way of doing it. Let's say really close with that person, but like really trying to acknowledge it when appropriate, but not giving it a huge amount of energy so that people don't, people feed off of that, right? Mm-hmm. Just like a troll. It's just a different kind of troll potentially.
I can tell you from personal experience, and Hylian can back me up on this. if you give people room, if you give people rope, as the saying goes, they will hang themselves with it. And it's like, at some point, even though somebody's a community member, even though they're a regular, even though they might be fun and pleasant in chat, at some point, if their behavior gets problematic, you have to shut it down, because it's going to start affecting you one way or another, right? Either on stream or off stream. In my particular case, like, I literally had somebody who like, what was the word you said earlier? Clingy. Clingy was the 100% the right word for what was going on. It's like, I don't need daily DMs about your cat. I don't need daily DMs.
No, I know who you're
Send those
talking
to me,
about.
though. I do.
I promise you, I could find that on Twitter. I
Well, it wasn't
promise you,
just the
there's
cat
no
memes.
shortage of cat photos. But the cat photos, the cat photos, the Trojan horse.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because the cat
Yeah.
photos immediately followed up by some crazy stuff that you're like,
Some political thing, or yeah.
You never send that to anybody ever through DM.
So like, here's a question. Then this is a good way to like kind of tie a bow on everything. When does a viewer become a friend? When did these people transition from being like viewer, community member, and then a trusted friend? Like, how do we even? Because it's obvious that does happen. Does that happen? I think it's obvious, but does that happen? Is it obvious? I think that's happened for most people here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's happened. Yep.
So
I mean, personally, at least.
it's probably, we need to try to figure out how does this process happen right and well, and when can it be too early? Like, I think it can be too early to transition people to that friend category.
Well, you hang out with somebody long enough, you have enough experiences with them that are genuine, even if they are online. You can still have genuine experiences and like shared experiences with what you're doing together on stream, what you might be doing together off stream, etc., that you can make like an actual judgment call on whether or not there's someone you could call a friend. And it's gonna probably just be like a natural, just like knowing somebody in real life.
Right, so it needs to happen organically.
Like, you can't
Like-
just have someone come into your chat and then get along that first day and be like, all right,
We're friends.
you're gonna be my mod, you're my new best friend, like, we're gonna get everything together. And then like the next day they come in and they like start posting things that they shouldn't, and
You're like,
other
we're no longer
bad
friends.
things. Yeah, like, you just got to get to know them well enough to be able to trust them
Yeah.
Right,
in the same
I
capacity.
agree.
Which in real life, like, right, I hate using the term real life, in offline life, right? In analog life, there you go, that's a good one. You get to spend time with people, so you kind of like Hylian was saying, you get to know sort of like,
I think
you
there's
might even get to know like okay, so I know a few people who absolutely, like, if I had a chance, I wouldn't necessarily introduce them to anybody else, mostly because I know them and I can get along with them, but I also like cognizant enough to know that they probably piss off any newcomer they meet, just because some people are that way, right? Some people are just not overly fun to be around with until you get to know them, right? And it
Yeah.
can be like that with a viewer too, or somebody, a chatter who starts out perhaps being a little rough around the edges, and you kind of then get to know them and you realize, oh, this is why they are a certain way, and maybe they aren't actually so bad.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Also go the other way.
There's a difference between being hopefully optimistic about becoming friends and leaving the door open so that could happen, and becoming fast friends and just being like letting them in, letting people right in. And
Yeah.
it's hard to balance that because you're live and you want to be inviting. So where do you guys feel like it's just like a guard yourself kind of thing and protect your stream kind of thing? And
It's a balance of I think a balance of what you share about your person and what you share that's kind of off limits, so and I think if you spend enough time with that individual, maybe in Discord or like outside of stream, you can develop some friendships. I've definitely developed some friendships, right? But I think if it's someone that you're really only interacting when you're streaming, you can't really call that person necessarily a friend in the same sense. At least that's how I feel, right?
Yeah.
Once that relationship goes beyond the streamer viewer relationship, then maybe, right? But I think if really the only time you interact with that person is when you're streaming, it's different, right? It's like if you have someone that you get along with well at work, right? But you've never gone out for drinks and you don't know if they have kids or not, right? I wouldn't call that person my friend. I'd call them my coworker.
Coworker, right?
But they're not my friend, right? Because we just have this singular relationship
You can be
that doesn't go
friendly.
beyond.
Friendly.
Yeah, but not,
Yeah.
not
That's a
friends,
good frame for your face to get paused on.
It's kind of like a it's like an acquaintance kind of thing. It's like it's somebody you know them, but you don't know them well enough to go like, oh yeah, this is a friend of mine. Like, okay, well, name like one good thing about them, and you're like, they turn in their reports in on time. Like what are you gonna what do you say?
So maybe we could say like their friendship is something that should develop away from the stream. You can meet
Yes.
people through the stream, and this is maybe a good place to have what Discord is for, and like hang out with people and become friendlier, and develop a friendship off stream. Is that a good way to maybe advise people to think about this? Is like your stream is not a place to create a friendship, but it is a place to meet potential people that could become your friends.
I think that, in my opinion, you should never let any relationship aside from like your partner or your kids take over the stream and start alienating anybody else. Like, it should be like if you have a friend who is a part of the stream, they're as much a part of the stream as anybody else. And maybe they could be VIP or mod or whatever, but it should never start gatekeeping other parts of the stream. Like, you have to keep that line between like we're doing something, we're hanging out with everybody right now, not just us two.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point.
The separation of friend and stream.
You want to manage the entire chat as one thing, and not try to have a relationship with an individual person.
And it gets even trickier if you know that person outside of stream.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If you have an analog friend come in, those I have people who I know in analog life who will come to the stream, and it's very difficult not to like. First of all, it's very difficult just not to say their name sometimes because like you're not used to calling them necessarily by their username or whatever, right?
Gotta dox them.
Accidentally dox them.
That happened with me and Jared, and because our relationship was from high school on. So,
oh man,
like I'd come into chat and he would call me Matt, and I've had viewers that call me Matt too, and literally no one calls me Matt. Like no one in my life calls me Matt. Everybody calls me Sonny. So it's when I hear it, it's so awkward. It's so strange.
jarring.
Yeah, and I don't know, doxing people in real life. Man, this is why it's such a complicated topic, because this is one of the pieces of advice I give people about chat is like you have to address chat generally and speak generally, like chat, and you can't trust chat. If chat was to become, you want to trust individuals, but if you were to take chat, you were to remove the individual personalities that makes up chat, and just take chat and turn it into an individual, like everything chat says, it would be like the dumbest person on the planet. It would not be a person you could actually engage with.
It's not even the dumbest person. It would just be the person who's like the most all over the place, who literally has like
schizophrenic and
racing through their head, and they don't have no filter. Usually, it's like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah, if chat became personified, it would be really dumb and very impossible to get along with. And it can be tough because chat feels like this one thing that's being thrown at you, and it's so untrustworthy because one person, I'll go in and say, the game audio is too quiet, and inevitably, instantly, someone will say,
"Sounds fine to me."
Thank you.
Fine.
To bring this back around to backseating, and I've seen this happen I've seen this happen meets in your channel too, where like literally you will maybe even ask for help, and somebody will say something, and then literally seconds later there'll be 3 other people with 3 different solutions also offering their opinion, and you're like, okay, well now I have 4 different people telling me 4 different things. Which one of you is correct? Right?
Well, if you're talking about like Dark Souls people, they all think that their way is the one right way to do stuff. So that's why you'll get 4 different
They are
correct
all
answers.
correct.
True.
Yes.
But I feel like that happens in most other video games as well, not just
It
with
happens
Dark
in a
Souls.
lot, yeah, but Dark Souls definitely for sure.
Oh yeah, well, because Dark Souls, you know.
Well,
Because
it
Dark
lends
Souls is a
itself to that.
hard game, so if I beat it this way, this is the way to beat it. Because
Yeah.
it's so hard.
It's kind of got not one linear path as well. It's not like a puzzle game. It's like
I've heard somebody once said that if games were less hard or easier, I guess, it would make the people who get through them a little less unsufferable. And after a while, I have to kind of agree.
Oh man. Oh man. I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Do you guys have any final thoughts on everything we've talked about?
I would say back to trolls. That there are maybe four kinds of trolls. There are people who are just kind of dumb but know they're dumb, like me. There are people who are just kind of weird, so they come off as trolly. There are people who are malicious. Maybe there's 3. And you just got to be able to like figure out the lines between them and know which of those people you want to try to like shut down before it happens. Because there are people who are they're not trying to be malicious. They're just saying dumb things for the sake of a joke. And then there are people who are absolutely trying to be malicious.
They're not trying to be malicious, but they might accidentally end up being malicious. Like,
Yeah, there are those people as well. So, yeah.
So
Just
my
finding out how
advice-
to deal
Sorry, go ahead.
with the different types of them. Like there was a person who once came in when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima and said this game is actual garbage. Why would anybody play this? I can't believe this got Game of the Year. And my response immediately was like, why are you watching streams on it? But then I engaged the person and tried to have a discussion about it. But then once they were uninterested in talking about why they didn't like Ghost of Tsushima, they started attacking people in chat, which is when I kind of stepped between that.
Yeah,
but
that's when you want to cut it off.
Yeah, because then they went from like being kind of annoying to being like ruining the vibe of chat, and I didn't want them to be actually offending anybody in there.
Yep.
But yeah, they're just lines you gotta find and then not let people cross. That you have to define. For
You have
yourself.
to you have to choose that for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Meats.
Yeah. So yeah, to kind of echo and piggyback off of that, my advice really is to be consistent, to have a plan, and trust your mods. You know, I think that's really important, is to really know where that line is and to not give it a lot of energy and try to be kind to yourself, because I know sometimes people will say things that are really hurtful or just really just not nice, and realize that they are under the veil of anonymity, right? So being kind to yourself, being consistent with how you manage the individuals, and having that plan with support is going to make your life so much easier.
Yep. True. Snazzy?
I would say the one piece of advice that I could give anybody who's, you know, either looking to get into streaming or maybe just started and they aren't, you know, they're at that stage where everything is rainbows and roses, right? They're kind of like what everyone else already said. You got to have your lines, you know, you got to have your boundaries that cannot be crossed by anybody, and you have to be consistent in how you enforce that. But more so than anything, I think what people have to realize is, no matter how you're feeling that day, no matter how you're feeling that stream, in the end, you are performing. You are putting a version out there of yourself that isn't necessarily you. I don't want that to sound disingenuous, but I'm just saying, you put on a mask every time you go on stream. No matter how frank and open you want to be, there is that barrier between you and the person watching, and you have to know that. You can't get lost in the sauce. I guess that's my whole spiel. Don't get lost in the sauce, folks. There you go.
Sage advice.
Yeah,
I just want to add one more thing onto what you guys just said, like the consistency of enforcing these rules and trusting your mods. They have to go hand in hand. You can't create an environment where people can't do one thing, but then your mods can, because then that creates this total shift in everything. Like, people will start to feel like they can't participate in stuff, otherwise the mods will boot them or something like that. Like, the same standards you hold anybody to, you have to hold your mods to.
Yeah.
And your mods need to understand where you're going to hold those people as well.
Yeah, I was going to actually say maybe we should do an episode on mods, or it should be a deeper discussion, because...
Ooh, have we found our next topic?
Maybe. So, yeah, we'll put it on the list and figure that out. But that was great. This was an enjoyable discussion. Thank you guys so much for your thoughts on this. And I hope everybody who listened and watched had a good time and got something out of it. Just going to remind everybody that they can visit infinitequality.live. If you are a member of Infinite Quality, I would encourage you to check out the support page. Maybe you can help support. Our website was under attack recently, so it was fun. We had a DDoS and brute force attack on the server, so I had to kind of lock everything down and upgrade the server. So that was fun. I'll probably talk more about that on the Casual Friday stream. But yeah, just want to encourage everybody to check out infinitequality.live. And if you're checking this out on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you are watching on Twitch, we do this live on Twitch every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So, whatever time zone you're in, please do the translation there. And you guys are always free to join us. And if you're interested in joining the Infinite Quality community, you can go to infinitequality.live, and there's an application process. So that's it. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
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 Bye.